Joining us now, um, we've got Deion Imade. Deion Imade of Cox fame, calling high school games, and then also calling Bixby games as well, and a full-fledged member of the Cowboy Radio Network, Cowboy Sports Properties family. He joins us now, former Oklahoma State player. Deion, how are you?
All right, Robert, how's it going?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm looking forward to. I'm actually going to go to a scrimmage tomorrow night up at NEO, so I'll catch some scrimmage football up there. Of course, I've been going to Oklahoma State practices. Can't wait. Next week we'll get some of those scrimmages going high school wise. In fact, are you guys televising any of the scrimmage stuff?
I don't believe we'll be televising any scrimmages, but we will get started next week. Well, not next week, but the week after that with week 0. So look forward to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, but it's here. I'm looking forward to going to some high school scrimmages, start seeing those, and we're going to talk with Dion a little high school and a little college football as well. Uh, but let's start with this because it was just on our plate with the last caller. I don't know if you've had a chance to see it, but Billy Napier, the head coach, he's a well-known coach, been an assistant at LSU and some other places. He's the head coach at the University of Louisiana Lafayette, and the Baton Rouge Advocate did a story, and I think ESPN has picked up on it. He has made it mandatory for his scholarship players to give $50 to the university's athletic uh, funding. You know, kind of like the posse for Oklahoma State, and become members of the athletic boosters group. Uh, that's a little dangerous move, I think. By the way, it's optional for walk-ons. They don't have to donate, but the scholarship players, it's insinuated they all have to give $50 to the athletic fund. Your thoughts?
Uh, I mean, first thoughts. I mean, I initially thought it's like we're already going through a situation where everybody has their opinions on if college athletes should be paid, and the fact that a head coach decides to take the opportunity to make it mandatory for his scholarship athletes to pay the university is kind of puzzling to me, and it raises a lot of red flags on the situation. But also, I mean, just going back to my experience, and I know a lot of things have changed since I've graduated from college and Division I football. But I mean, and I know a lot of things have changed as far as how much those guys get to get paid, or how much they get financed or help, or how much they get to eat. But I know when it came down to those last couple of weeks, sometimes all that was in my bank account was $50 for me to figure some things out and help myself throughout those times. So I'm not an advocate, or I'm not a fan of college players being mandatory to take $50 from what they're receiving to help out the university. I would want to hear more details from that coach as far as what it provides the university, and what and the reason he's telling his students to do that. I mean, I could see where he could be like saying that this teaches the young man responsibilities. I mean, when you get out of this environment, you're going to have bills every month, and I quickly learned that by the time I exited college, or while I was in college. But the fact that he's making it mandatory is kind of interesting, and I don't know if I agree with all that.
You know, I want to ask this question. I know you're going to say, "God, Robert, I want to talk football," but I need to ask this because we are in a day and time, just like you mentioned. There are people out there, student, former and current student athletes, that feel like they should be paid. I have no problem, and I agree with the your own likeness and image. If you know the car dealership outside of town wants to pay uh, Spencer Sanders or Chuba Hubbard or Tylan Wallace or those are guys that would have, the kind of popularity right now that they could maybe be in line for this if they wanted to, and it was within the schedule where they weren't missing class and they weren't missing important team functions, practice, meetings, so on. I have no problem with athletes going out there for an hour and signing autographs and taking pictures and getting paid for it. Have no problem with that. But I don't want this to become a pay to play situation. And I'm one of those people. Maybe I'm old school, and Dion, you may be about to light me up. But I believe getting an education now, like you said, even since you've played, the stipend, they get more money. They have at least at Oklahoma State, they have a really good living conditions. They have really good training table, really good health care with the training staff and doctors. Uh, they get a lot of swag. I mean, you really, if you don't mind wearing sweats and warm ups to class, you probably get enough of those that could be a whole wardrobe. Uh, but I don't endorse that. They need to wear regular clothes and be able to afford to get some of those. I mean, I'm not, but need to be able to afford to take a date out now and again, and have some spending money, which I think the stipend, since you played, does a much better job of that. But I agree with the way it's set up now, and I don't want this to become a pay for play situation, college athletics or college football. Your thoughts, honest
Well,
thoughts.
my
Disagree if
honest
you
my
if you want to
my honest
disagree.
opinion.
Disagree.
No, yeah, and honestly, I do disagree because the fact of the matter is, and this is something that I've thought long and hard about. It's been a hot topic for a couple of years now, and with what I've learned at the University of Oklahoma, I'm an accounting major. I majored in finance and minored in accounting. Okay, the value of a dollar changes so often. It varies. It goes up. It goes down. It varies from what state you're in, from what country you are, as far as their currency goes. In my opinion, and you can look this up, the value of a college degree has changed as well. Back in the day, when you were allowing college athletes to get a free education, that meant the world. Even if you didn't go play pro, but you got out of there with a degree, that meant a lot. You could leave, use that degree, and get a job. This day and age, now that college students are getting out of school with graduations and degrees and all that fancy stuff, it doesn't mean as much as it did back in the day. Because the fact of the matter is, now everybody's getting a college degree. The value has depreciated. So therefore, that degree that you're telling me that is the same that you were giving guys in 1977 is not worth as much as it is now, as it was in 1977, that it is in now 2019. It's not worth as much. So the fact of the matter is, you're telling me this dollar that I gave you in 1977 is not worth as much as it is currently. Now you could buy a loaf of bread, milk, and a carton of eggs in 1977, but in 2019, I'll give you 2 slices of bread. Take it or leave it. That's the way I look at it. It's not worth as much as it was back in the day. So therefore, you're kind of getting over on some of these players by saying, well, here's a college degree. It's worth a lot, but is it really still worth the same? Especially how college football and big time athletics has turned into so much of a business now. It's not worth the same. The value has depreciated. That's my argument to the whole thing.
Well, I mean, again, I'd have to see the numbers you're seeing. I still think a college degree and earning power uh, is worth quite a bit, and even for the guys who are super talented that go on to the NFL, some of them leaving early. Uh, their vehicle to the NFL a lot of times is the ability to work with a Rob Glass, the ability to play in a program that gives you the visibility like Oklahoma State. This can be. We saw Justice Hill. I know he's a fourth round pick, but last night 10 carries, 49 yards, first touchdown. I think Justice is going to make it. I think he'll make it in the NFL. We've seen a lot of guys, even guys that made it through being rookie free agents. So I still think what guys are experiencing in college football has a great deal of worth, um,
And I do agree
and
with
we
you
may
there
have to agree.
as far as marketing wise, that is a big time the ability to be on TV. I mean, you can look at a popular case, Zion Williams, although he had a bunch of highlight reels and magnificent dunks in high school, but when he put on that Duke uniform and when they put him on big time national TV, that allowed him to be a number
Sure.
one draft pick, and that allowed him to be a big time college player or big time NBA
Yeah.
prospect.
Well, I don't want to bog this down because I think the listeners want to hear you talk football, and we'll get off of it. So we'll kind of agree to disagree on that. Let's talk OSU first. Things you're hearing, things you're thinking about. Camp ends on Sunday, and then then you get into really game prep, scout teams, and all that after Monday. On Tuesday when they get back to practice, they'll be sincerely getting ready for the opener with Oregon State. How are you feeling about the Cowboys?
Man, I mean, so I'm having to hear and read a lot of articles and try to figure things out and get knowledge from sources and connections and even listening to your show every day, Robert. So I'm as far as position groups, I'm really excited to hear and see more of the secondary that everybody's talking about. I mean, there's so many names that every day something's popping up. I've heard a couple of guys that I haven't seen play that I'm very interested to see. A lot of good things been hearing about McAllister and his new role at the safety. This guy Tanner, correct me if I'm wrong, the last name escapes me right now, but Tanner Sterling from Sunnyvale, Texas. I've
Oh
heard
no,
he's
no,
been
no, Trey Sterling.
Trey Sterling, excuse me,
Trey
from
Sterling.
Sunnyvale, Texas. I've heard he's been doing some
Yep.
great things during camp and adding a lot of depth
Well,
to
you know
the
what?
to the
Hey,
secondary.
Dion. Yeah, Trey is really kind of getting his break because he's got a chance to move into the starting lineup with Malcolm moving down to a linebacker position. And I don't
Oh,
know if that'll be full time, part time, whatever. But that's a huge opportunity. And Trey Sterling had a great spring, so he's put himself in that opportunity.
and I see, Robert. Now you're telling me stuff that I am unaware of. This is the first that I've heard of it of Malcolm going down to playing some linebacker, and that's one of the things that I've been mentioning since I saw him after his freshman year. I was like, this guy is really using that Rob Glass, strength and conditioning program to his full capabilities because he was rocked up and he looked like a big joker. And I was like, by the time he becomes a junior or a senior, I think he could possibly play linebacker in the Big 12. And I mean, it's good to see. I mean, I know it's not always what a player wants, but it's something, and even myself had to go through where you kind of evolve and your body changes and you kind of fit a need that the program needs at the moment. And that's exactly what Malcolm Rodriguez, from what I'm hearing, is the situation that he's finding himself in. So if he can help us, and if that's a need, then I'm hoping, I mean, knowing how smart he is and the athlete that he is, and me covering him in high school, and everybody likes to say he wrestled in high school. So, I mean, that linebacker position to fit him well.
Well, and I think with the depth at linebacker, but that's something that Knowles we talked about on that assistant coaches day before camp even started. When you have so many safeties and they're really athletic, good players, it's the old adage, and I believe in it. Now, I mean, you can't take a safety and put him at defensive tackle and expect it to work,
Right.
but you can take a bigger safety and put him at linebacker. You can play an extra safety when the offense puts a position group out there where that player can match up. And Oklahoma State should look for opportunities to play as many safeties as they can because honestly, they've got 6 or 7 that are capable. Uh, my biggest question on defense, and you kind of went that way first anyway, and I understand it. It's the side of the ball we both played on, and you obviously a lot more recently. I feel great about the corners and the safeties. My biggest concern is that front seven, and I don't think we'll really know whether they're going to pass the grade or not until we get into the games. I don't think it's anything
Yeah.
you can learn from practice. You have to see it in a real game.
And that's one of my main concerns. I mean, and that's why I was happy to hear Malcolm being able to come down there and help as well. My question for you, though, if I can be a caller for a bit of a second, is how's Harper looking? Is he gonna, as far as what you can tell us, what's the status on him, and what are we looking at with that situation?
I'm assuming you're asking about Devin and not Thomas Harper because there's two
Yeah, because I got
Harpers.
comments about Thomas
And
Harper. That's my
Thomas,
next question. That's my next question.
yeah, yeah, Thomas is doing great, and he's going to play as a true freshman. Not, when you've got Rodarius and AJ, and you got Kima and Bryce Bayless is playing well. Thomas is probably about the fifth corner, but he'll play and he'll be. I'm involved in a lot of special teams scenarios, including maybe some return stuff. Um, Devin is the thing I keep hearing on him is the hope is he'll be ready for Big 12 play.
Hmm.
He's still getting in shape, still getting past the foot injury, and I think he had surgery this summer. I'm not positive. They don't put that out for the media, but I know he was incapacitated rehabbing this summer. So, yeah, that's the thing I hear is hopeful for Big 12 play.
All right, and after that, with that being said, I mean, Harper's brother did come in. I've heard a lot of great things about him. I mean, extraordinary things about him. And in this Big 12, especially on defense, now that one of the things that you have to worry about is the depth as far as players in the open field and tackling and helmet to helmet collisions and the possibility of a player being kicked out of a game. So therefore, the depth is always going to be a concern. So, in your opinion, Robert, if you had to say it right now, I've heard Kima being possibly the third corner, or I've heard Harper, the new freshman, coming in and doing some spectacular things, possibly being the third corner. In your opinion, where are you leaning towards as far as the third guy?
Oh, I think Kima's probably the third guy, and then behind Kima would be Bryce, Bayless, and Thomas Harper, one or the other. I think they're both. And remember, those two guys move up automatically the first half of the game with Oregon State because Kima will be spending that half in the locker room. He's going to serve out a first half suspension for the targeting in the second half of the Liberty Bowl.
A lot of people have forgotten about that, including me.
Yeah, no, he gets to start the first half of the season watching on TV, and that's if they have a TV in the locker room at Oregon State, because it's not a palace, especially for the visitors. On the offensive side, let's just kind of ease over there.
Right.
I underestimated the impact of Charlie Dickey. I think the offensive line. I think you're gonna watch this offense regardless of which quarterback's playing, and I think they'll both play early. But with Chuba and the running backs, with the receivers, because that's been going great. I mean, and then with what Charlie Dickey's done with this offensive line, I think a lot of people are going to just shake their head and say, "Damn glad I don't have to defend against those guys." I think it's going to be really good. I really do.
Yeah, and a guy who watches a lot of defense in the Big 12, I've always said the best friend to a defense in this conference is the ability to run the football. You need time on the bench to rest and gather yourself because but it might not seem like a big deal, but playing 70 snaps on defense compared to playing 55 is a big deal, especially in the fourth quarter
Sure it
and at the
is.
end of the season.
No, absolutely. And I've said this with this offensive line, with what Charlie Dickey's doing, with the talent of Chuba and LD and Jameel Jeter and Desmond Jackson. It's been a long time since Oklahoma State, in my opinion, could run the ball even when the defense and everybody in the stadium knew they wanted to run the ball.
Mm.
When you can run the ball and everybody's trying to stop you from doing it and you can still run it, that's when you are a strong, forceful football team, at least on offense. And I think this will be the.
I think we lost Robert there for a second, so we'll try to get him reconnected. Again, talking with Deion Imade, and we're due a timeout anyways, so
Well,
there he
Bedlam
is.
game in Norman. Yeah. I was watching the other night, Dion, the 2012 Bedlam game in Norman,
Hmm.
on one of the classics. Clint Shell, first road start in his career, played really well. My wife made me turn it before the overtime, so we didn't see the end.
I turn it on that part all the time too.
All right, I think we lost him again. Dion, were you playing it? Was this scheduled to go 2 segments? I believe it was, right?
I
And
believe so. I mean,
yeah,
I'm here as long as Robert
yeah,
has
and
me.
Oh, there we go. He's back. Robert, you there?
there we go. I don't know why. I don't know why this is doing this, but I'm hearing you guys. You there?
I'm here.
Okay. Anyway, I was watching that, and that was fun. I mean, that team in 2012, they were able to run the ball whenever they wanted to. So, like you said, when a team can do that, you can do whatever you want.
Exactly. Exactly. And I just to echo that. I mean, we had backs in the backfield who could run downhill and also were a threat out when they got outside in the open field. And then we had offensive linemen who could create some big holes for us. And because of that, we could utilize that and had some success defensively because we weren't as tired on most games. But I mean, if that's something that can be applied to this year and this offense, and that it helps the defense a little bit, I'm all for it.
Jeremy Smith, I got to correct myself. It's Jeremy Smith, and he and Joseph Randall in that game with guys like Evan Epstein and up front, they they were able to run on OU whenever they wanted to. Plus, Clint Shelf did a nice job carrying the football. Deion's partner on Cowboy pregame and I guess it's just pregame. Clint's going to be involved. You'll be involved halftime and postgame too. But hey, couple of things you're looking forward to with high school football.
Oh man, Robert, I'm just because high school is always for me the start of the season and my the way I cover things, and so the way I start studying. So I'm so excited about first of all Bixby over there. You always have to start off with them just as far as the tradition they've come to build these last couple of years and the times that I've been covering high school football here in this state, and they got another group of guys, a bunch of Cowboys on that side, possibly maybe some future Cowboys down the line, as far as, especially with Presley and the little Presley, and then Jordan. So
Reagan.
I'm excited about I'm so excited about the Spartans and what they're going to do this year. And then there's always Booker T that you got to look out for. So many athletes on that side of things, and man, right, it's gonna be a good one.
Well, hey, Dion, I appreciate it. We're going to start doing this on a regular basis on Fridays, and looking forward to it. Last weekend of without college or high school football because everything kicks in with scrimmages and actually some few college games the next weekend. Hey, I appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
Can't wait, Robert. I'll see you soon.